Hello, and welcome to our host site information session for AmeriCorps 2020. In this presentation, we will cover details about becoming a partner organization with United Way of Greenville County. We are seeking partners who can host someone from August 2020 through July 2021. Our program consists of two staff, Director Alexandra Haymond and Coordinator Abby Blakely. Here you can see an example of our job duties. If you are selected as a partner site, there will be more in-depth training on many of the areas you see listed here. The main topics we plan to cover are shown here. We will begin with a brief background on national service in America and about our team. Then we will talk about what is expected of each party involved in an AmeriCorps placement. Finally, we will cover how to determine if your organization aligns with our AmeriCorps grant and whether you are ready to be a host site. Finally, we will discuss how to fill out the site application. AmeriCorps is a national service program that is similar to the Peace Corps. Citizens agree to serve a term of service, and after successfully completing the service, they receive an educational award. There are AmeriCorps programs across the country meeting all kinds of community needs, ranging from tutoring children to refurbishing houses for the needy to doing environmental work. Besides getting things done, the AmeriCorps motto, members also try to encourage citizens to give something back to their own community. AmeriCorps is governed by an entity called the Corporation for National and Community Service. There are three different branches of AmeriCorps: VISTA, AmeriCorps State and National, and AmeriCorps NCCC. There's also a separate branch for seniors called Senior Corps. Here at United Way of Greenville County, we have two branches of AmeriCorps, both direct service through AmeriCorps State and National, and indirect service. VISTA. In this presentation, we will be covering how to apply to become a host site for an AmeriCorps Upstate direct service team member. As you can see, in South Carolina, there is a pretty large presence of national service across the state, with over 500 local service sites, 3,600 Senior Corps and AmeriCorps members, $15.2 million in CNCS and local funding, as well as $30.5 million in AmeriCorps scholarships earned since it started in 1994. AmeriCorps members nationwide focus on many things. For us here at United Way, our team focuses on economic opportunity, and we are looking for partners in this work for 2020 to 2021. This focus area of CNCS aligns with our Cycle of Success strategy of helping individuals and families towards financial stability. As you can see, we have a shared mission. So why else would we want to have a national service program? We want to make a greater impact in the community. By providing human capital to local organizations, individuals and families gain access to more advocates who can help connect them to community resources and help them grow in their understanding of financial literacy. Our team members are even called resource navigators. We want to grow and improve the Greenville and national philanthropic field by investing in upcoming leaders, both personally and professionally, and we want them to stay involved in the community and remain civically engaged after their term of service. Here at United Way, we have two national service programs, both of which are focused on financial stability. It's a great way to strategically support our community, and you can see the history we have with both of these efforts. I've included the VISTA information here for your reference. We are in the process of applying for an entirely new VISTA grant, and our application dates for VISTA host sites will be dependent on us being selected as a sponsor for a new program. One of the main confusions between our programs is what team members are allowed to do. AmeriCorps Upstate is called direct service because they interact directly with clients. VISTA is called indirect service because they support the organizations who in turn assist low-income populations. Federal funding for these positions mandates this dividing line. A member must spend 80% of their time on direct or indirect service, depending on which program they're a part of. You can see here a few examples of what an AmeriCorps Upstate member might do for your organization: resource navigation, basic case management, teaching financial literacy classes, and one-on-one interaction. We also provide specific services like tax preparation through the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. A few examples of what VISTA members can do nationwide would be things like fundraising and grant writing, as well as database management, research, volunteer recruiting and training, and creation of workflow systems. Let's dive into the details of our AmeriCorps program structure. In order to function effectively, we all must adhere to our responsibilities and partner agreements to make this partnership work. As we mentioned before, CNCS is the federal agency that leads service, volunteering, and grant-making efforts in the United States. In South Carolina, our AmeriCorps State Commission receives grant funds from CNCS to be distributed to programs across the state. We are one of the programs receiving funds, a sponsor organization. We are also unique in that we partner with the United Way of Lawrence, Anderson, and Pickens counties to provide AmeriCorps members in their locations. In each county, there are additional subsites. First, let's discuss more about the South Carolina State Commission and their part in this partnership. In South Carolina, the State Commission is the United Way Association of South Carolina. The State Commission receives an AmeriCorps grant from CNCS to fund South Carolina initiatives. These initiatives are determined by a board of commissioners. They create a state service plan which highlights key challenges of the state and identifies research-based interventions to address them. It serves as a guide for funding and programmatic priorities for national service programs in South Carolina. The Commission is comprised of 15 to 25 volunteers who live in South Carolina. They serve for 3-year terms. 2 commissioners are appointed by the governor, while the rest have been selected by a nomination and application process. You can see here that Commission staff also oversee AmeriCorps program progress and performance, and they monitor program compliance to be in line with federal regulations. Next, we will talk about our role as a sponsor organization. Here you can see a sample of some of the things that United Way of Greenville County takes care of in our part of this partnership. We prepare the annual grant application and send it to the Board of Commissioners for review. We also are in charge of ongoing grant compliance and management. This includes passing desk audits and commission site visits, meeting AmeriCorps program measure goals, and completing our required trainings and certifications. We also are responsible for overseeing host sites and making sure that we have partnership agreements and that everyone is following federal compliance guidelines. A few more pieces of our role as a sponsor organization include member recruitment and management. We recruit, interview, and onboard about 30 to 40 members every year. We also implement an intensive 2-week member orientation every August. We host monthly leadership development and tax trainings. We organize 3 annual Day of Service projects and conduct site visits to each host site. On top of all of this, we are responsible for the administrative and human resources duties related to AmeriCorps members. We make sure they receive their monthly stipend, their mileage reimbursement, their healthcare coverage, etc. We are responsible for final timesheet approvals and reporting, as well as all of the pieces of budget reconciliation and record keeping. The next piece of this partnership is partnering organizations and site supervisors. If you are to become an AmeriCorps Upstate partner, you need to complete the startup requirements from the United Way of Greenville County. This includes completing a host site application, signing a memorandum of understanding, paying the cost share per member. This amount usually varies by county. Attend site supervisor training, which is usually the last week in July. We would also like you to participate in recruitment for team members, not only for your own organization, but also referring candidates to us for the overall applicant pool. We ask that you interview candidates to determine the site match. We have a 3-way match rule, that the staff, the host site, and the member agree that it is the right fit. We will send you candidates to interview, and you may also send candidates to us to interview. If you are selected to receive a team member, you will be expected to onboard them in August. This means having a physical and digital workspace prepared, computer, internet, and email access, phone, office supplies, logins, and appropriate systems. We also expect our host sites to have an initial meeting to set clear expectations as well as explaining your organization in detail. Because team members only serve for 1 year, they have a very short amount of time to get ready to serve. Throughout the year, we ask our sites to have ongoing member development and support. This includes connecting them to opportunities for networking and training, providing feedback to promote personal and professional growth, as well as giving correction and guidance. You will also need to complete mid-year and end-of-term performance evaluations for your team members. One of the most important things that we ask of our sites is that you adhere to compliance guidelines. Each team member is a federal resource, and they have to be serving and reporting on outcomes with low-income individuals and underserved populations. We expect that you train your staff on what team members are allowed to do and not allowed to do to make sure that they aren't being asked to do something out of their comfort zone or outside of the scope of their service. We want you to use appropriate branding. We want you to provide about 36 hours per week of service opportunities, as well as having someone review and sign members' online timesheets every week. A little bit more about supervisor orientation. After host sites are selected for the current year, program staff will hold an orientation. This is usually the last week of July. This will include more in-depth information about recruiting, managing, and retaining a team member. Staff will keep site supervisors informed throughout the year of program meetings, trainings, and days of service. The final piece of this partnership is the AmeriCorps members themselves. Let's first cover a few common misconceptions about AmeriCorps members that you may have or have heard. Many people think AmeriCorps members are like interns and that they can fill any role that the organization needs, like answering the phone, picking up coffee, washing the CEO's car. That's not the case. Team members are federal resources, and they have to be utilized to serve clients and help them out of poverty, not to fill gaps at the organization or grant the whims of employees. Another example of a misconception is that AmeriCorps and VISTA members have interchangeable duties. However, AmeriCorps members provide direct service to clients, while VISTAs should be assisting the organization. Many people incorrectly pronounce AmeriCorps AmeriCorps. That is what it looks like, but remember to pronounce it AmeriCorps like an Apple Corps or the Marine Corps. Another misconception is that national service members have to be young. However, you can be any age over 18 and be a national service member. There are some key programs like NCCC that require the ages of 18 to 24, or specifically for seniors over the age of 55, but our AmeriCorps program can be any age over 18. The last misconception is about AmeriCorps members' category. Are they volunteers? Are they employees? Who knows? Really, AmeriCorps members are on their own special category. They're not volunteers and they're not employees, and they have special protections through their title as an AmeriCorps member. Our team members take the pledge that you see here at the beginning of their service year, and this is a great example of what they are striving for. They are here to get things done in the community. Here you can see what an AmeriCorps member should be spending their time on. Resource navigation and case management, including being trained as Thrive Hub counselors, where they help individuals navigate the benefits application process, as well as connecting them to community resources. Financial literacy education. We use the National Endowment for Financial Education curriculum, and our team members are trained to facilitate classes as well as one-on-one sessions. The last piece of services is volunteer income tax assistance. Our team members are trained to have IRS certification for basic tax returns. They are activated from the end of January through April to provide tax assistance at local free tax clinics through the VITA program. One of the main benefits we hear about our team is that they are able to give people their time. This may be something that your organization is lacking. You may have a lack of capacity, and an AmeriCorps member has the time to sit and hear all aspects of what someone is dealing with. Maybe they need new glasses, or there's no money for Christmas gifts. So in addition to assessing what someone needs in terms of housing, employment, food insecurity, and more, team members can take the time to help people connect to even more community resources. These are some of the expectations that we have for AmeriCorps members. They need to be serving economically disadvantaged clients. They have to serve 1,700 service hours between mid-August 2020 and July 31st, 2021. This comes out to be about 36 hours per week. There are no set vacation days or holidays for AmeriCorps members. It is all about managing this number of community service hours. They must attend monthly leadership development meetings and our 3 annual days of service. They need to keep track of their own data about tracking what they have been doing for our goals. They need to submit this monthly. They have to pass 3 criminal history checks, attend our 2-week orientation, turn in their weekly timesheets, earn an IRS VITA certification, and then serve a minimum of 10 hours per week during VITA season. They also need to communicate with staff and with your organization regarding leave. Do AmeriCorps members get paid? This is a question that we get pretty often. The answer is not technically. AmeriCorps members receive a living allowance that's supposed to sustain them while they're committed to serving the community. However, it's not considered a paycheck because AmeriCorps members are not employees. The living allowance amount for this year is $14,279. AmeriCorps members also receive health insurance benefits at no cost to them, including dental and vision through United Way of Greenville County. We have Child Care Assistance Program, which is vouchers. We have the Education Award, which is $6,095. This amount goes into a special account meant for AmeriCorps members. That means that they have up to 7 years to administer this money however they choose, whether it's repaying student loans or using this money to go back to school and seek further education. AmeriCorps members can have their federal student loans in forbearance during their service and then have the interest repaid when they successfully complete their hours. United Way of Greenville County provides mileage reimbursement for when AmeriCorps members have to drive for service. AmeriCorps members do have those monthly professional development trainings. That's a great benefit, as well as developing soft skills and building their resume and professional network. You can see here a breakdown of an AmeriCorps member's time. They have 1,700 hours total. 80% of that is direct service and 20% is indirect service. But what does that really mean for you and your organization? About 60% of a team member's time will be on financial literacy and resource navigation services. About 20% of their time will be on VITA, but this is all concentrated during the tax season. Your team member will be expected to serve about 10 hours per week. That means they may be serving less hours at your organization during this time. For indirect service, that includes trainings and education such as orientation, our days of service, and professional development. The other 10% may be outside volunteer hours. It might be with the Humane Society or someone like Habitat for Humanity, or it may be additional events or meetings at your organization. There are 3 categories of activities for AmeriCorps members: allowable, unallowable, and prohibited. For allowable activities, that's all the things that we've just covered. These are things that should be in an approved member position description. In the application process, you will write this position description. It will be edited by the United Way of Greenville County and approved by the state office. We also want to make sure that AmeriCorps members are conforming to all rules and regulations. Unallowable activities are things that fall outside the normal scope of service. Members should not get indirect activity that exceeds 20% of their total hours. They should be spending more time serving the community than on those things like education and trainings. Team members should not spend all of their time helping someone apply for federal and state benefits. However, because our team does the VITA program with income tax assistance, they are protected from this guideline. AmeriCorps members should never be duplicating or displacing employees at an organization or be used in a staff or manager capacity. They should not be raising funds or writing grant applications. Prohibited activities absolutely cannot be done by AmeriCorps members as they can put the program at risk of being shut down. AmeriCorps members can never do fundraising. This includes activities associated with fundraisers such as setup, tear down, picking up donations or supplies, as well as planning. AmeriCorps members on AmeriCorps time should not be participating or advocating for political parties, candidates, or platforms or proposed legislation in any way. They should not be organizing or engaging in protest or attempting to influence legislation. Please note that we encourage team members to be civically engaged, just not during their AmeriCorps service hours or wearing AmeriCorps service gear. AmeriCorps members can also not engage in religious instruction or proselytation during AmeriCorps hours. They cannot provide abortion services or referrals. They also should not be doing office work not required for their program activities. A few other notes on what AmeriCorps members are not meant to be doing. They shouldn't be performing only clerical work or answering the phone for your organization in lieu of someone else. They should not be performing janitorial duties, supervising other members, or managing organizational paperwork or financial issues. These things should be handled by an employee, a volunteer, or an intern. To reiterate, these are the big 3 things that AmeriCorps members should not do. They should not be leading religious activities, they should not be participating in political activities during service, and they should absolutely not be fundraising. Now that we have covered all the different pieces of the partnership of an AmeriCorps, the host site, and the sponsor organization, it's time to determine the organizational readiness and fit. Before you apply, please ask yourself these questions. In what areas could we use help? Can we use the services that AmeriCorps members provide? Would we be better served by an intern or volunteer with more flexibility and not constrained by federal grant guidelines? Do we serve the targeted population? Do we have the staff capacity to recruit, train, mentor, and supervise a team member? A few more questions. Do we have a commitment to the philanthropic field to invest in young leaders? Can we provide professional development? Can we provide 36 hours per week of service? Is there physical space in our organization to support this team member with a work area, desk, computer, internet phone, and incidental office supplies? Can we allocate the cost share amount? Are we willing to absorb this loss if the team member does not save the full term? If you have thought through all of these questions and decide to apply to host an AmeriCorps member, this is what the application will consist of. Information about your organization, the focus that your team member would have, the target population that you serve, how you would support your team member in collecting data on the service they're doing, how you would help with recruitment and selection, how you would supervise and train this person, whether you can meet the site match, and filling out a position description of what exactly your team member would do on a day-to-day basis. These are the instructions for how to apply. Our application will be open on Wednesday, February 12, 2020. If you have not already, please email program staff to be added to the notification link for updates about the application. Our application will close on Friday, February 28, 2020 at 5:00 p.m. These applications will be reviewed in early March by a cross-departmental team of United Way and AmeriCorps staff. All applications are scored via a rubric for consistency. Previous experience in hosting an AmeriCorps member is taken into account. Our goal is to announce 2020 host sites by March 20th, 2020. The AmeriCorps application is hosted on a website called Apricot, of which there is a link in the email. Please make sure that you read the RFP for all of the expectations and find details about being an AmeriCorps host organization. Please note that the AmeriCorps Apricot website works best on a Chrome or Firefox browser. If you already use Apricot for other purposes, you will need to use an alternate email address. This does not have to be a real email address. It can be non-existent. You can make it up, such as acgrantapp@unitedway.org. Perhaps the most important piece is to be sure that there are no red X's in the checklist to the right on your screen, and make sure that you choose Save Record when you have all green checks. This concludes our informational session about becoming an AmeriCorps host site. Thank you for your time. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, please direct them to program staff, Alex Haymond, Program Director, and Abby Blakely, Program Coordinator. We appreciate your time and look forward to partnering with you.